Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. I'm sitting here with comedian Rodney Perry, who both have been in the comedy game since I always use Def Comedy Jam as the benchmarker, but they've been in comedy festivals, commercials, comedy shows, hosting gigs, and now all that to say that these guys are now in a sport. Before I jump into the show, gentlemen, how you guys doing today? Especially after yesterday's show, being called all kinds of things.
I'm good.
Okay, Rodney,
How
you okay?
Doing, Rodney? I'm good.
Oh, I'm great. I had a bagel this morning. It was amazing.
Who did you have it with? Pinocchio's grandfather?
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, let me jump into
Pinocchio's grandfather. Who says that?
That's crazy.
For anybody that don't know, we're talking about the great Tony Roberts who joined us yesterday. He was amazing. Great chat.
Yeah. So for the COVID report, real fast, let me just jump into this. The NBA executives all fell in and started going to Atlanta for the pre-stuff of the All-Star game, and 6 NBA executives had to turn around and go back home because they didn't pass the COVID test, which is pretty interesting because nobody talked about that. And Iowa State played last night, even though they lost to Baylor the first time they played in 5 weeks. They lost 77-72. First time they played in 5 weeks because of what? Because of COVID. So that's the COVID report. The big news that everybody's talking about right now, I'm going to jump in and ask you guys, and we can talk about this, is, Tiger Woods had a car accident yesterday. He seems like he didn't hit his brakes on anything. He got into a real bad car accident. And, a lot of people panicked and everything else, as you can understand, because as the news came out, we didn't know how bad it was. First thoughts on Tiger Woods' car accident, Rodney? What you think?
I mean, when I saw the article, man, looking on I actually took a nap, and when I woke up, that's what I woke up to. And I was like, just hoping he was okay, man, because whether you like Tiger Woods or not, he's an absolute icon, man. And, you hate to hear that we lost a guy like that. And at first glance, I thought that's what they were saying. So glad he's okay. And it looks like he'll be able to get back on the course.
Right. Fig, tell me what your first thoughts were when you saw that.
At first, I like Rodney. I'm just happy that it wasn't a tragic thing in the sense that it wasn't a loss of life. That was my first thing. Just happy about that. The injuries that he sustained seem to be pretty horrific. Something along the lines with Alex Smith, the football player, the quarterback of Washington, but it seems as though they're optimistic about his full recovery. I'm happy about that. Beyond golf or sports or anything like that, just hopefully that he's able to walk and be able to have a good quality of life with his family and his children. And of course, golf is secondary.
Let me ask you guys this. He had injuries to his right leg, right and lower leg, and he had a lot of screws and rods and everything else. Like Fig just said, his injuries are similar to Alex Smith, whereas Alex Smith had one fracture and he did one infection. Tiger Woods has got to do it too. Now, Rodney, I'm gonna ask you this: if Tiger Woods is gone from the sport, do you think the sport would turn around and go downhill? And is Tiger Woods saving and has saved the sport of golf in the whole industry in today's society?
Absolutely. Tiger Woods not only saved it but innovated it. Like Tiger Woods changed the game. He's the most polarizing figure in golf. The reason you ever watch golf is because Tiger Woods.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong, there's always been golf enthusiasts, but when Tiger Woods came in the game, those people of color, we came over and started paying attention, and we picked up the clubs and began to play. So that in itself is tremendous. Will his injury affect it going forward? I don't think so. I think his effect on the game has already been made. However, I think he's already kind of aging. And golf is one of those sports you can play forever. depending on what the injury is, it could be detrimental to his golf going forward. Because some of us still hope he would get, maybe those couple of Masters before he goes, because you can play that game till you get up in age. So I think that we may have seen maybe his last big hurrah, but I mean the guy's legacy is unparalleled.
Yeah, Fig, same question. What do you think?
The thing about Tiger Woods is you're saying like his impact on the golf game. The thing is that when Tiger Woods is playing and he's in contention for a championship, the ratings are through the roof. They're insurmountable. And that brief layoff when Tiger was not playing for whatever reason, because of injury or the social backlash or what have you, the ratings went down. So he has put a boost into the golf game. And we thought that because a black player was doing so well that we'd see an influx of pro golfers, black Americans, pro golfers in the game. It hasn't been like that, but he's definitely had a major impact on golf as a whole.
I could honestly say, and I could honestly think that he's such an iconic player that he's bringing the sport billions of dollars, not millions. I think he's bringing the sport billions.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. I think Fig just said something important too, and I had never thought about that. Is that there should have been more black influx of black players coming in, but I tell you what he did affect. He affected the people that was already playing to change their game.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
It's a lot of people that play like Tiger because of Tiger, and I think we'll see that thing, Fig, that you're talking about going forward. I mean, with kids getting involved, because golf is becoming more accessible to inner city youth. Because
honestly, what y'all are both right, because there are youth playing right now who are between the age of 16 and 18 who are playing professionally in the sport of golf that you would never see even thinking about. Especially there's that young Japanese girl, I can't think of her name. She's 17 years old, 18 years old. She plays a lot like Tiger, and she's winning. Right. So yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah, I think what Tiger, what he brought to the game is the long ball. You know what I mean? Because he was so strong and so powerful. His driver was just crazy. Like he hit the ball farther than anybody, you know what I mean, on the golf course. And he just, Tiger was just amazing. And according to what, just piggybacking off what Rodney said, I think the reason is that we don't see a bigger influx of African Americans is because of the economic factor, and golf is so expensive to play. And then you have to be a part of a course, and you have to have access.
Right. I think, last question about this, I think that we're going to be shocked at the reason why he had the car crash. I'm expecting that to be like, wow, that's how, you know what I mean? There's no drugs, there was no alcohol, there's no nothing, and he didn't hit his brakes on it. I think I'm bracing myself to sit there and say, okay, Tiger, how did you have the car accident? And I think it was something foolish. I think it was just something foolish as speeding out of control. Rodney, what you think?
I mean, it's hard to speculate on why a man has a car, but like you say, he didn't hit the brakes. I mean, maybe he wanted to end it all.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Maybe he was in so much pain, and he was trying to do suicide. I didn't even think of that. What's your thought?
That's a horrible way to commit suicide. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you know what? I had something that came to mind. I think it was. First, let me just answer the question. I think it was distracted driving, but I don't think Tiger's a great driver. He's had a couple of fender benders, and I wonder what part of the combination makes Tiger not drive so well.
Driving. The Asian part is driving.
I think so. I'm just like. Too soon? I'm sorry.
Yeah, too soon.
I digress.
Man, he just got in bed. That they still plugging him up. It's too soon. It's too soon.
I mean, he's okay.
I did not see the tree.
Yeah.
Too soon.
I did not know. I was on my phone.
Too soon. Let me start. Let me keep the conversation going, man. I was thinking a lot last night when I was watching a couple of basketball games. I was thinking a lot last night when they were talking about the NBA and talking about the NBA All-Star. Before I jump into the questions I want to ask both of you all, Rodney, I'm going to ask you this first. Do you like the new NBA style format? Now, for those of you who don't know the format, the new format, the two top picks and the obviously for the NBA, they pick out of a pool of players like you pick street ball. Do you like that format, or did you like the East versus West?
I mean, to be honest, I mean we've had this conversation about changing the way they pick the people that are going to be in the playoffs, and this is the beginning of that. This is the beginning of having the best of the best players. So if this works in the All-Star situation, it may work in choosing the top 16 teams. So I'm not mad at it at all. I mean, at the end of the day, All-Star game is just a dope ass pickup game, and so you get to run with the best of the best. And if you ain't good enough, you got next.
Yeah, I see that part. What do you think, Fig?
I think it could work. I mean, as a kid playing basketball, quite often, this new system it lends, it reminds me a lot of what we used to do is, in the park or in the gym or whatever, you get two captains, whoever had next basically is the captain, and he picks his team and the other guy picks his team and the best team win. The only problem with last year is we had Giannis as a captain and he didn't know what he was doing. He picked a horrible team. LeBron James had all of the shooters and they won. So it really would boil down to who are the two captains and whether they have the ability to pick a great squad or not. Clearly, LeBron James knows how to pick a squad because every time he pick a squad, they end up winning the damn championship.
Wow.
So, I mean, we know.
That's a great point too, Fig. It's like just because you're number 2 in scoring in the league, you might not have the relationships or know who to pick.
Right. And Giannis did not. I mean, he's from another country. Well, I mean, he's a great player, but he's from another country, and I think he didn't really grasp how to put together
a team. Pickup ball probably.
No, he don't know how to put together a team, and it showed. The All-Star game wasn't really that competitive because LeBron James had all of the scorers and all of the shooters, where Giannis, he had players, but nobody that could really, score like that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was competitive. It came down to like the last shot, if I remember correctly.
That's me. It came down to the ledger because of the format of the game and the way they were playing defense. You know what I mean? It's like I think you had to win each quarter and stuff like that. But again, the West had all of the shooters.
Listen, I'm old school. Maybe I'm the wrong dude for this to be asking these questions, but I'm gonna throw this out there. I hate the new format. I absolutely hate the format.
Really?
Listen, I hate it because of one simple fact. The way everybody was going is East versus West. That's the whole point of having the NBA Eastern Conference versus the NBA Western Conference. You have the best players on this side, play the best side on that side. If you mess up the NBA All-Star game, then change the playoffs. Change the playoff format. If you're going to do the best players in the All-Star game, then change the playoff format. So
right, but again, I think that's the beginning of it, though, Frank. Like,
I'm not disputing that. I think it is. And I hate the way they're doing the All-Star game because it's the part I hate about it is the way they do with the quarters, like how Fig said. You know how they did the quarters section, everything, and the quarter. Like, dude, just play first person to get the 30. If you're gonna do it like street ball, do it all the way street ball. First person to get the 25.
Right.
First person.
And I think that's the way. Frank, I think that's the way. I can't remember exactly because I only saw it once. But it's something very similar that they did in the fourth quarter. It was like the first person to score so many points in the fourth quarter was the team that actually ended up winning. And it was real competitive at the end by the fourth quarter. But I like the East versus the West. You know what I mean? I like that format because it almost is like the city sort of rivals. Like you have teams and then the city rivalries and stuff like that. It's like the East, it's almost like the Boston LA thing when you have the East versus the West. And that's pretty much, the way I the way I like it too.
Fig, tell me, all right, tell me you did not like the East versus the West. No matter what side, where you at in the country, you born, not necessarily born, but you come up in the sport, you see the sport, you always like the sport where it's East versus the West. It's, you know what I mean? And sometimes the power shifts to the West, sometimes the power shifts to the East. But either way, you see where it is. But right now, you blended everything. It's like you put everybody in a pot and you mix it up and say, okay, let's see who. You know, I ain't like it.
I can't believe y'all saying this, that y'all argue me down about 16-team playoffs.
No. I'm saying that I don't like the format. Like now, either switch to that side completely or switch to that side completely. Because I like the 16-team form. I like that because of what I said before.
But you're making an argument against it right now.
I mean, I guess it depends how you look at it. I'm not. I mean, I don't like that.
You know what it sort of piggybacks off of. It sort of piggybacks on friends teaming up to play with each other. You know what I mean? It's almost like making super teams, and that's what I think the West was last year in the playoffs. They were like a super team because LeBron had Harden and Curry and I don't think Durant played, but I mean he had all of the shooters. You know what I mean? It's just like I looked at the team. I'm like, the East ain't gonna win this. I'm like, they ain't got no shooters. They got no shooters.
Let me ask you this. Let me even throw a curve in. If you're the NBA commissioner, right, and you sitting up there saying, okay, I gotta fix this format to bring excitement, because let's be honest, excitement ain't been in the All-Star weekend in a long time. It's just not there. They're trying to mix it up to change it. What would you do, and what would be the biggest thing that you would do for the NBA All-Star weekend? And I'm gonna go first. Let you guys see how my thought process is, because they were talking about it a lot last night in the game. I would change the slam dunk competition to have the stars have to be in it to a certain extent, saying, okay, here you guys are in it. I know you guys don't want to be in it, but you're the stars of the league. You got to be in it. But if you win, the winner of it gets $3, $4, $5 million from the biggest sponsor to go to the charity of your choice. Now they instead of winning $50,000 and $100,000 for the slam dunk competition like they're at now, raise the level of money for the winning the slam dunk competition. Say to the stars, if you win, $5 million goes to $4 million, whatever the number is. Let's say it's $3 million. Goes to the charity of your choice. Instead of doing what they did they had all these people in the stands, you know, like they had like 50 people in the stands cheering them in the All-Star game. Let's make it actually mean something at home. So now when the slam dunk competition actually has some excitement in it, because we really looking forward to the winner, instead of a whole bunch of people who, you know, we all remember back in the 90s, you know, in the 80s, slam dunk competition was all of that. You know what I mean? It was like you couldn't wait to see that. All, you know what I mean?
Because
now
it was the best dunkers in the NBA that did it. Now there's a bunch of no names. I mean, you're gonna make it to me. If you're gonna make it no names, I put it to you this way: you want to make it really exciting. If you're gonna just put a bunch of no names in there and the stars are not going to participate, then open it up to some street ball players that know how to dunk. That makes it exciting, because I'm going to tell you this. I've seen some street ball dunk competitions that was way more exciting than the NBA competition. Like when Blake Griffin jumped over a car, he jumped over the front of the car. But when I saw a guy do it in street ball, he jumped over the entire vehicle and dunked the ball. So if you're going to open it up, and all you're gonna do, if you're not gonna make the stars participate, then open it up to the best dunkers in the world, and then have them come and compete for a grand prize.
Actually, I really love that idea.
If the best players are not going to participate,
I love that idea, because now it even gives excitement when people decide to pick a side, saying the best dunkers. And then you got the NBA, and then people will just come from all over just to see who could beat the NBA stars. I like that. Rodney look like he don't like it.
I hate it.
Why? You got
to hate it with a passion. I'm gonna tell you. First of all, the best dunkers in the world are in the NBA.
No, they're not.
Absolutely, they are.
They're not.
Absolutely, they are.
Okay.
Absolutely they are. I don't want to argue the point, but it's
okay.
a fact.
Okay. I'm saying okay. I don't want to argue.
They're the best basketball players. Or no, they're not the best basketball players?
They are the best basketball players, but because you can dunk don't mean you can play.
Yes.
Okay. They're the best players. They're the best dunkers in the NBA. Just because you don't know who they are, don't mean they shouldn't get a look. You know, and so guys like LeBron taking a step back and letting the young guys get some of that shine is what it's all about sometimes. I mean, LeBron could go through and probably win a dunk contest probably out of the last 5 years, probably 2 or 3 of those years. You know, his warm-up routine was noted as one of the best dunk exhibitions of all time. People get to the game early to see it. His warm-up. And so I think it's something to be said for kind of making it mandatory for guys to get involved, but you can't do that either.
Yeah, you
You can't make me get in the damn. I'm an all-star, but you can't make me get in a dunk contest. Yeah. So I don't know if I agree with that.
You can't do that. Fig, I know you got something to say about that.
I think one of the best dunk competitions that we've seen, I would say in the last 5 to 10 years was with Zach LaVine and I can't think of the other cat, man. And he ended up winning when like they were doing these, the dunk contest was just amazing. But I think the biggest dunk contest is when you had Michael Jordan going against Dominique Wilkins, and those were the stars. Vince Carter, great dunk competition and stuff like that. When guys who are known to be great dunkers in the game, and you could see it throughout the season, you want to see these guys in the dunk competition. And LeBron James, you know what? I think he's a great player, but I think he robbed the fans because he never participated in the dunk competition. Because I know, whether I'm a fan of LeBron James or not, I know for a fact that his fans would have liked to have seen him in the dunk competition.
You know what I like about the fact what you just said? The Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins thing is what set the bar and started the whole thing. And a lot of people have been arguing about the dunk contest for years, because I'm one to say, and I've been the first person to say it, and I'll stick to this. I love Michael Jordan. I'm the biggest Michael Jordan fan in the world, but he did not win that dunk contest. So everybody argued about that because he was in Chicago.
Yeah, it was in Chicago. Yeah, you're right. Go ahead, Frank.
Chicago. He had, he had the fans that stood up for in the honors. Any dunk he did, everybody was going back. But honestly, looking back at it, if that thing had been in a neutral site, Dominique would have definitely had taken that.
To be honest with you, as good as it was, I think what would have been nice if they would have just called it a tie. That dunk that Dominique got, I think they gave him 48 or 49 points. Yeah. I think that was not a 48, 49 point dunk. And they should have gave him a straight 50. They was like, look, we're going to bring it down to the last two. If the last two is 50, we're going to have 2 winners. And just leave it like that. Listen, in a dunk competition with 2 guys of their caliber, there would have been nothing wrong with a tie.
Yeah. So let's talk about the All-Star game. You want to respond to that, Rodney?
I'm just saying we don't play the ties in the NBA, baby.
Yeah, we don't. You play. You got to have a win. Got to have a W. Listen, last night Chris Paul came up and said he was very disappointed. He was excited that he got picked to do the All-Star game, but he was very disappointed that Devin Booker did not even get picked to be a reserve in the All-Star game. And then I thought about it. I was like, wow. When you look at the NBA, the people who they picked, there are some of these players up here for the reserves that Devin Booker could have been, he could have beaten out to be, on the list. Now, I'm not picking on your boy Julius Randle, Fig, but
Devin Booker's in the West.
Right, but I'm saying there are certain people who are on this list, East or West, because they combined everybody, that Devin Booker should have been on this list above some of these other people. So I'm going to ask you, Rodney, I'm going to start with you. Being that you know who Devin Booker is and how good he's helping turn the Phoenix Suns around and everything, do you think that brother got a disservice by not being in the All-Star game? I think he did, clearly.
I mean, that's one way to look at it. But, he's going through his maturation process. It's just one more log in the fire to keep him hot, keep him energized. And he's gonna keep blazing. And if I'm him, I don't get too up or down on it. I don't go. I watch it on TV. I rest with my family and look at it as a blessing, man. And go in there next year and go to the All-Star game.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna ask you, Fig, what you think?
I think clearly it's a popularity contest because Chris Paul got the nod over Devin Booker, and clearly, Chris Paul is a floor general, but Devin Booker is the engine that makes that team go. You know what I mean? He definitely should have got a nod. And if not by the fans, what the hell is up with the coaches? Like, the coaches don't know that Devin Booker is that dude? That's the one. That's the part that shocked me. The fact that the coaches didn't even pick, Devin Booker and the kid in Indiana, Sabonis too. This kid is just balling out. And the thing is, what it shines the light on is that if you're in a small market, no matter how you ball out, you could get overlooked.
Yeah, that picks that point perfectly, which leads to my next question and last question about the All-Star game. Tobias Harris is having an all-star year for the Sixers. He helped turn the team around. The team is number one literally in the East, and everybody's thinking that it's all Joel Embiid, when realistically it's Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's overlooking this dude. So I'm going to ask Roddy Perry. Roddy, do you think Tobias Harris got disservice by not being picked up in an all-star game too? I mean, because Tobias is a beast.
Hey, I'm looking at the list right now, man. Look, everybody good.
Mm-hmm.
NBA, everybody good. Everybody is good. Everybody good. Sorry, guys. It's people not only that's good, that's probably better than you. I mean, who you gonna leave out?
Well, on the list,
question, not who didn't make it. Who you gonna take off the list? There's
a couple of people who I could say, like Julius Randle and Ben Simmons on the list, overall list. I would have and Zion Williamson, because they didn't have a great year all year. You know what I mean?
But it's also like Fig said, it's a popularity contest.
That's exactly what it is.
Like
exactly what it is.
If you in one of them markets, nobody is seeing you, you're not gonna get picked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Like the only reason we talking about Phoenix is because Chris Paul there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we wouldn't even be talking about Devin Booker.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I can't even dispute that. Fig, you want to jump in on that?
I think Devin Booker is lights out, man. And I think the reason that Julius Randle got in is because the kid is, I mean, without Julius Randle, the Knicks are not winning half of those games. You know what I mean? He's dropping 30, 40 points. You know what I mean? He's shooting from the three. He's driving the ball. He's playing defense. He's bringing the ball up. He's getting assists. I mean, he is literally on his team. He's balling out. And that's why I think a guy like him, Devin Booker, Sabonis in Indiana, those guys need a look, especially if you're going to take more than one dude off a team, you know what I mean, off the same team, then those other guys that are contributing to their team's success need to get a look. If not from the fans, I understand the fans picking the starters, but the coaches need to know better.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that part at all.
It said the fans' vote served as the tiebreaker for players in the position group with the same score.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do that all the time. The fans
that's like people like Doncic and Damian Lillard that got ties. They use the fan vote to break the tie.
Yeah, they do that all the time. What they should do, this is what I've always said for years, what they should do is have the fans break the tie after the coaches pick the players. That's what I think they should do overall. Start with the coaches, have the coaches pick the NBA All-Star players, and then have the fans break the tie. But they want the fan involvement from the get-go so they keep fan excitement up to the game. That's what they do. So.
Well, listen, you gotta have the fans involved, because the fans are basically the viewers and the consumers, and that's basically at the end of the day, it really is all about the money.
Yeah, the fans are going to watch it regardless. But you know what? I want to move the conversation on, because we're talking about NBA All-Star. We're talking about NBA. I'm going to see how good you guys are getting, because Roddy gave me this idea to start doing the quiz. And I was like, you know what, Roddy? We should do some quizzes and everything else. Quiz, something to make see who's good. See if you know your stuff.
Yeah, but what if my GED is under investigation? Do I have to take the quiz?
We'll find out right now. We'll find out now. So, Fake, I'm going to ask you. You're going to go first. Okay, you go first. All right. Since you're an NBA savant, who is the lowest seeded team to ever win the NBA championship? The lowest seeded team, because you know how the NBA does the seeds, and they've been doing the seeded thing. Now, it could be a trick question. You know what I mean? It could be a trick question. Now, Roddy, I'm not asking you the same question.
Team I would probably say
Roddy up there looking it up, trying to get the answer real fast.
Oh man, if you're gonna have an open book test, or you gotta go off the top of your head. What is this?
Fake. Roddy doesn't realize I'm asking him another question, separate question. So
I got the answer. I got the answer if you wanted though.
You know what? I would say probably if I just off the top of my head, I would probably say LeBron James, Cleveland, Cleveland Cavaliers, maybe.
No, they was like the fifth seed that year.
Yeah, I thought they were low. Miami.
It's a horrible team.
The lowest seeded team. Just think about it, Fig. You should. You know why I asked you this? I'm gonna really get you with this. There's a particular reason why I'm asking you this question. Yes, there's a particular reason. I said the lowest seeded team to win the NBA championship. There's a reason why I'm asking you. Isn't that a big hint, Rodney? That's a big hint, right?
Can't be the Knicks. The Knicks?
No, not the Knicks. No, Rodney. I mean Fig. The lowest seeded team to win the NBA championship is the Houston Rockets when they beat out the New York Knicks.
Yeah, because
they have the Knicks at the top of this list. I found it said lowest. What I asked the question. I said lowest seeded team to make it to the finals.
No, I said the lowest seeded team to win the NBA championship.
Oh yeah, well that wasn't that in a short year? That was a short 96. Year.
It was the 96.
And they're the only team to win the finals because the rest of the teams made it to the finals, but they didn't win.
Yeah, they're the lowest seeded team to win, and they beat the New York Knicks at that 96-97 season.
Yeah, Cleveland wasn't a bad guess though. Cleveland was definitely in that group.
But Cleveland was 5. You know what I mean? But I asked Fig because he's a Knicks fan. You know what I mean? I figured he would kill that one. I think
probably because I think that was the year that Patrick Ewing got injured, and we had to have Marcus Camby go up against Hakeem Olajuwon.
It was
Marcus Camby, and you're not gonna win that battle.
All right, so Rodney, your question. You ready for your question?
Sure.
Who is the tallest? You ready? Put your phone down and look straight in the camera. This Negro here.
Stop looking down. Stop looking down, Rodney.
Stop looking down, Rodney. Stop looking down. Turn your phone over. Okay. See. You ready? And this question he got his phone next to him.
Look, he got the phone up to the mic so Siri can answer. Look at you.
Well, I'm gonna give you a sec. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to answer this question.
Go ahead.
You ready? The tallest. Yeah. Who is the tallest everyday point guard of all time? The tallest point guard to play the game. Vic, don't say nothing.
The tallest point guard.
The tallest
actual guard.
Point guard. There's a reason why I'm saying point guard. Not guard, point guard. Tallest point guard to play the game.
Magic Johnson.
Gotta be.
There it is. It is.
But he wasn't a point guard.
He was a point guard.
He played the 2.
No. Magic was the point. He brought the ball up.
Yeah,
but he's like a point forward, wasn't he?
No,
point guard, bro. The forwards was Cooper and Worthy.
Depending on the year.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, understood. Okay.
With Magic, the only thing I would say to you, the year when Magic came in, Norm Nixon was the point guard after 1 year. But then after that first year, Norm Nixon was gone. They moved Magic to the point, and that was it for them. They were like, okay, Magic can be the point because of what he did in the finals. You know what I'm saying? Like they were like, this dude can be the point because he was the point in the finals, and that's what helped them.
Who did he beat in the finals, Rod?
What?
Who? When Magic Johnson first year, who did he beat in the finals?
Not the Celtics. Magic Johnson's first finals.
It's easy. That's easy. Magic's first year in the NBA, who did he beat for the finals?
Was it Detroit?
The Sixers, bro. The Sixers.
Philadelphia.
Oh. Yeah. Philadelphia. And he played center in the last game. He had to play center because
this ain't for you. This ain't for you to ask questions. I ask the questions. You do the answer. That's how this works. All right, let's move on. Got to continue on with the show because I want to ask a couple of questions about. Let me just say this quick thing because people say I don't talk about other sports. Let me just mention this real fast and say the Montreal Canadiens fired Claude Julien last night, and everybody in the hockey is really upset about this. They're talking about this on all the boards because Claude Julien should not have been fired. People are upset about that. I don't know the sport in depth to talk about it the way I really want to talk about it, so I just wanted to mention it so we continue to move on. Now the thing I want to ask both of you guys is, should Dallas Cowboys, because now we're talking about the NFL, and we all see, because yesterday I said Dak was not going to get tagged yesterday. I said that yesterday. That was my motive for the question. I said, I said, so now I want to ask you, Rodney Perry, do you think the Dallas Cowboys, with the number 10 in the draft, they got the 10 pick in the draft, do you think that they sitting there saying, you know what, let's pick a quarterback? Because this year's there's like 6 quarterbacks in the draft. Do you think Dallas is going to shock the world and pick a quarterback for the draft?
Hey, dude, I wouldn't be surprised. And I think Dak might have to get out of there, man.
You think so?
I think Dak may have to get out of there. And I wouldn't be mad with him putting on that Bear uniform, but Dak got to get out of there. And especially if they pick a quarterback, then a big fat middle finger to the whole Dallas organization.
You know the funny thing is, Fig, before I even ask you this question, I'm going to state this fact. Dak Prescott has the same QBR as Deshaun Watson. You see how everybody's tripping over Deshaun Watson? So that's just food for thought. So I'm gonna ask you this, Fig. Do you think Dallas should pick a QB in the NFL draft?
Man, I had an epiphany today when listening about this subject. Now I'm beginning to realize why Dallas is America's team. By the way they're treating Dak Prescott, that makes perfect sense to me now. The fact that they're treating this black man who has proven himself time and time again, who's been exemplary, a leader, vocal, a model citizen, and playing his behind off, a leader of that team, which the team responded to him as a rookie. It makes a lot of sense that Jerry Jones and America's team that they call the Dallas Cowboys would treat that black quarterback like that. That makes perfect sense to me. And the fact that Jerry Jones, he said they didn't want to pay him because they don't think he's worth what he's asking for. But when he was a rookie, you paid him peanuts. Basically, he outplayed his contract.
That's not even the funny part. The funny part is Dak has the same QBR as Deshaun right now, and they would take Deshaun in a tenth of a second and get rid of Dak Prescott, even though they both basically
in a heartbeat, absolutely,
and they both got the same stats, which is mind-boggling to me. I think about that.
I wonder if the fact that Dak Prescott took Tony Romo's spot, and Jerry was so fond of Tony Romo, maybe that's why Jerry can't get over the hump and actually pay Dak.
Well,
because he basically ended Tony's career.
Let me ask you this question. Continue on, move on, because we could talk about Dak and Dallas for a while. Because obviously, at the end of the day, they're not paying this man what he wants. Let me ask you this. Speaking of paying, Roddy, do you think the Bucks should bring back Antonio Brown over Gronkowski? Because right now, the word is that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can't pay everybody. Right now, they're starting to get into what they got to pay. They can't pay everybody, so now they have to sit there and say, okay, we got to either tag Chris Godwin, let him go to free agency, or do we sit there and let him go to free agency and then keep Antonio Brown and Gronkowski? Like, they have some situations they got to deal with right now. So there's three or four things that they're dealing with right now. So I guess the first thing is Antonio Brown or Gronkowski. What do you think?
It's either or for those two guys.
If they tag Gronkowski, yeah, they in a situation. I mean, if they tag Chris Godwin, they're in a situation. It's about money. At the end of the day, they can't keep the same everybody unless everybody.
Don't get me wrong. Gronk had a great Super Bowl, but he didn't have a great season. So I would rather have Antonio Brown than Gronk right now.
Yeah.
I think you can go out and get a serviceable tight end.
I can't even dispute that. I will say this. Here's the thing. Like I said, Fig, before I even jump and throw the question to you, they can't pay everybody. You know what I mean? People tend to think, at the time when you win and everything's great and everything, but they can't pay everybody what everybody's worth. So the question again is, do you keep Antonio Brown? Do you keep Gronkowski? Because Chris Godwin is who they really want to keep. You know what I mean? But if they tag him, one of those two guys got to go. What's your thought?
I mean, at the end of the day, you pick the guy who has the most left in the tank. I mean, Gronk came back after retirement just to come back and play with Tom. If I had to make a choice between the two, I would pick Antonio Brown simply because they do have a decent tight end already. You know what I mean? They got a tight end that can play his behind off. And, Antonio Brown does some things and draws a lot of attention that Gronk probably wouldn't be able to do. And I think that Antonio Brown will get better because of having the time with the team this year. I think he'll be even better next year, where I think Gronkowski will continue to decline.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Now let's move on to another subject I want to ask you guys about. Speaking of this thing moving, Alex Smith came out last night, man, and he had a talk with a podcast, and he was talking to a lot of people about everybody in that room in that podcast, and he said a couple of interesting things. The biggest thing he said was, I surprised Washington by coming back. They didn't expect me to come back. They didn't think I was coming back, and I didn't get the love from the organization when I came back because they kept trying to force me out the door. So he's not sure. He's on the fence, and with the thought saying he's not returning to Washington. They were so high on Taylor Heineke, and we saw what Taylor Heineke did. Taylor Heineke almost beat Tampa Bay. You all remember the playoffs? He almost beat Tampa Bay. He played pretty well. But the disrespect that the Washington football team showed to Alex Smith after he did all that stuff with his leg situation, and he came back and he did above and beyond just to get back to get on the field. When you hear those kind of things, Rodney Perry, does that like blow your mind on just the NFL?
Say it, Rodney. I know it's on your mind, Rodney. Just go on and say it.
Look, man, Alex Smith is the black man of the white world. They've been treating this guy like little piles of dookie for years. They had him out there in San Francisco. He get injured, and they go to Kaepernick, and they never came back to the guy. He never got a chance to get his job back. So it's like Alex Smith been treated horribly his whole career. He should be used to it. So I mean, the irony of this particular situation is there's not a lot of places for him to go right now. He's got injuries in his portfolio. He's still a good game manager, but he's never been known as a guy that can stretch the field, and that's been detriment to him for the longest time.
You think he's going to play again in the NFL this season, Rodney?
Not if he lead his team.
Okay.
He's a good backup, and he's gonna give you great minutes when he come in. But
he wasn't bad for Washington though. When he came in, he got them a couple of W's. Like they won like 4 or 5 straight with him.
That's what he does. That's what he does. He knows how to run an NFL football game and an NFL football team. The guy is really good, but he cannot throw the long ball. He cannot stretch the field, and because of that, teams don't get enamored with him. These guys want some explosive plays, and they don't have it with him.
Okay, so that's your thought process. But I'm willing to bet, and I'm gonna say this to Fig. I'm willing to bet Rodney would take Chicago Bears would take him. Chicago Bears would take him, but he ain't no better than Trubisky. He ain't better.
Let me say this. This is something that we've gone away from on this show. We haven't heard anything, but today Rodney pulled one out of the old trunk, and the word for today is enamored. That was a really good word, enamored. I like that word right there, Rodney. Word for the day. But listen, Alex Smith, do you want an Alex Smith or do you want a Heine? Everybody wants a Heine. Think about it. You gonna pick a Heine or you gonna pick an Alex Smith?
Everybody has a Heine. That's the difference.
Everybody has a Heine. Everybody has a Heine, and
everybody has a Heine.
To the right people, everybody like a Heine too. I'm trying to tell you. Alex Smith, look, if I was Alex Smith, I would have never came back. That injury was so horrific. We talked about him earlier today. Had the same injury, if not worse, than the one that Tiger had, and we thought that he was going to lose his leg. The fact that he came back is a testament to his will to play the game at a high level in the NFL. But I really think he needs to take his knowledge and his wisdom of the game and keep it on the sideline, maybe as a coach, maybe even as a quarterback coach, whatever it is. He clearly has a mind for the game, but he doesn't have the physical ability to continue to play the game at a high level. And one hit and he could literally be wearing a prosthetic.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's worth it.
All right, let me ask you guys this question. Dez Bryant came out yesterday and said, you know what, y'all looking at my stats, everything else for playing in Baltimore, and they weren't impressive. I get it, but it was a mistake for me to even go to Baltimore. So he's looking for a new team, and he's going to go out there and might get a new team. So I'm going to ask you this, Rodney. Do you think Dez Bryant should retire, or do you think he's got 2 more years left in his tank that he's trying to get right now? Dez Bryant.
I've been watching this podcast with the NFL players, and they be talking about going out racing each other and stuff like that. And this is the thing. These guys still believe they got it.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, they better than Rodney Perry. But they're not better than these young boys out there. Let me tell you something. Father Time is undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Dez Bryant, you better get you a suit and a tie and go commentate a game.
Yeah.
Go give some color commentary. Dude, don't go out there and get hurt. You had a good career. And I know it's talking about him coming back last year. AB came back, but AB is not as far removed as Dez Bryant. It's very difficult when you get 3-4 years at the crib, it's hard to come back and play that fast game.
Fig, what you think?
The skinny or the information that I heard on Dez Bryant is that he used his athletic ability in order to be successful at the NFL level. He wasn't like a student. They said he wasn't a student of the game, and he wasn't a great route runner. So when Rodney said Father Time is undefeated, if you don't have the skill and the technique to operate at a high level, once that age and attrition starts to hit you, then how many years do you actually have left in the tank? Somebody else that I think actually could make it, like what Rodney was saying, if you use him on limited downs, or somebody who can help you in a championship game or in the playoffs. I know you're gonna say I'm crazy. Terrell Owens. I seen Terrell Owens run against Tyreek Hill, and he gave him a little bit of a head start, but that boy never caught Terrell. Terrell is cut up like a piece of Swiss cheese. He's in great shape, and he's still fast. Now I don't know whether he can take a hit, but I know that boy is fast as grease lightning, and he was always a great route runner. So he may be able to help you in a game or two. That's what I'm saying.
The question is back. Let me switch it back to Dez Bryant, because that's the topic is. So I'm gonna ask you, Rodney. You're saying right now you don't think Dez Bryant could give you 2 years or something for anybody else? You think Dez Bryant is there? Because Dez Bryant is the guy.
No.
So, okay.
No. I'm gonna say this. Like, guys can run in a straight line. It's stopping that's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These guys is world-class athletes. They can run.
Mm-hmm.
It's stopping and starting back up. That's the problem.
That's not even the problem. The problem is getting separation from you. Could run. It's easy to run fast today. That's why the Jamaican runner never went to the NFL or made it to the NFL, because you can't create separation when people are grabbing you and everything else. So, Fig, I'm gonna ask you this again. Do you think Dez Bryant got 2 years under his belt to get with another team, any other team?
No, I thought I was clear. I guess I wasn't. I said that Dez Bryant used his athleticism in order to be successful in the NFL. And the tape on him is that he's not a great route runner. And the fact that he's older in age, unless he, picked those skills up over the last year, no, I don't think he has 2 years.
Right. Last question about the NFL I want to ask you guys is Big Ben has been meeting with the team ownership. He supposedly met with them last night. The ownership came out. Well, I shouldn't say this is a fact, but Pittsburgh radio is talking about offering Ben. Ben is supposed to get $41 million this year if he's on the team March 9th, which he won't be. So, and they're not going to give him that because that's a cap hit. But the ownership is having a conversation with him. They're starting at the veteran minimum. Do you think that he will accept the veteran minimum, Rodney Perry, and still play Pittsburgh? Because he said he'll play for nothing. Rodney Perry, do you think Big Ben will accept, again, the player minimum, his level, capacity, everything is $1.1 million. So do you think he'll take that big of a discount?
I think they'll shift the money around and make it work for Ben, man. One thing about that Hines organization and those people up there in Pittsburgh, they're super loyal, man. They've had the same coach for the last, 18 years, and the coach before that, and the players, they really make solid investments. They're no Dallas. I think they're going to make it work for Ben, man.
Okay, I can see you could be right about that one. Hey, what you think?
I think loyalty is great, but sometimes the loyalty goes a little too far. It could be exaggerated. In this particular case, I think it is. I think Ben has his best days behind him. And the reason that they're giving him another shot is because Heinz is what ketchup tastes like.
Where you come with that one? Where you come with that one, bro? Okay, all right.
I mean, that's the owner that they own Pittsburgh team, Heinz, I think. Same company.
It is the same company. So yesterday, right, I watched this podcast. I don't know if you guys saw it. Y'all see the podcast with Cam Newton and oh my God, and wide receiver Ocho Cinco. And
Cam was talking about that ain't 32 guys better than him.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. You see that podcast? Now the thing is,
that's a great podcast. Ocho Cinco and my man that was in Chicago.
Receiver. Yeah, the wide receiver. I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, they were having a couple of great conversations, and the podcast was an hour. I watched the whole thing, an hour and some change. Fred Taylor was on it. Ocho Cinco was on it. They were basically discussing about who's good, who's not good. They had a long conversation. Cam Newton came out of his mouth and literally said, "There's not 32 guys better than me." According to the stats, at the end of last year, there are at least 31. Like at least 30. You know what I mean? They're 30. According to the stats. Now, I'm a Cam Newton fan. I love Cam Newton. His year last year, I think, was an anomaly. I'm going to ask you, Rodney Perry, where do you think he fits in the rank of 32?
He's probably somewhere in the middle. And this is what you got. This is what people just put on the back burner. This guy's an MVP candidate. This guy's a big time quarterback, and they act like he ain't never been shit. I think it's a travesty that we had this conversation. Is Cam Newton a great quarterback? Yes. Is he top 10 right now? Maybe not right now, but he's not number 32. Like he said.
He's not number 32, but again, according to the stats right now, when they raised up the stats, he was 30.
He still ain't 32. So
that's 30 is.
I mean, you got to think the dude. We talking about the worst season in NFL history.
Yeah, I'm not knocking that. I just was like, okay, Cam, if you think you're better in the top, you need to go out there and show it this year, no matter who you play for. So that's my thought.
Here's the thing. He might not get a shot. That's the only problem. Mm-hmm. He might not get a shot. I'll tell you this. If they were to put Tom Brady in the exact same situation, he wouldn't have won no more games than Cam Newton won. And he got COVID too? No. Add the fact that Tom Brady got COVID. If Tom Brady got COVID the same way that Cam Newton got, the exact same scenario. Cam Newton won most of those games because he had the ability to run the ball also. They had nobody on that team. Defense or offense.
Great point. Maybe Tom Brady is affected less by COVID because he don't run.
Maybe. But here's the thing. Here's a big thing that I think you're overlooking, Fig, is the passes that Cam Newton missed, Tom Brady would have made, and they would have won at least 2 or 3 more games.
So Cam Newton is not. He's the worst quarterback ever. Then
nobody said that.
I don't think there's 32 players better than Cam. I would say he's in the top 20 somewhere around there because I know some of these guys out here that's playing on some of these teams that Cam can play better than them. I mean, look, we're talking about Alex Smith. You mean to tell me if Cam Newton had a running game or he was in Washington, he couldn't have done better than Alex Smith last year?
Hold on.
Cam Newton had nobody.
The Patriots had the best. The Patriots had the best running back core in the league, so they had a running game. That wasn't the issue. The problem is they had no wide receivers. That was the problem, and that was a big problem.
That's what a quarterback needs.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what the problem is. That was the problem, and that was his.
They had a great running game.
That was the same problem with Brady last year. There, yeah.
Yeah, that's why Brady left because he got mad. He didn't have no wide receivers. Anyway,
Cam was one of the running backs of that team. That's what he was.
That's the show. We got to go. Tomorrow, Talent should be back to join the show. Roddy, tell everybody out there how they can follow you so we can get back into what we normally do.
Hey, RoddyPerry.com, man. Roddy Perry live on all social media. Appreciate y'all following the YouTube page, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Okay, Fig.
You can follow your boy at Comedian Fig on all social media platforms. And every day, I'm going to tell y'all, you can find me 1 to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday on the Box Seats, the best damn sports show on TV. And Cam Newton is not the 32nd best quarterback in the NFL.
Nah, he's just the 30th. I'm Frank. That's Fig. That's Rodney.
Still ain't 32.
Still ain't 32. No, it's not. The show's called The Box Seats. We will be back tomorrow, 1 to 2. We're going to argue about Cam Newton again tomorrow, and I'm going to ask Talent see what he thinks, and we'll go from there. Anyway, y'all, that's the show. Y'all take care. Talk to you.
Peace.